Hello and welcome to the Warcraft 3 audio commentary. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game from the SAWL. Let's go ahead and introduce our players. We do have CZE.Cechi, I think. It's difficult to pronounce. Cechi, the blue undead player spawning in the lower right part of the map. This is going to be Ancient Isles, and he will be going up against PwNu.SaturN, the pink night elf in the upper left. Of course, we can go ahead and look at the heroes. We do have a demon hunter coming in for Saturn, and for Cechi, we're going to be seeing a death knight first. And of course, Saturn is going to go ahead and go with the Ancient of War creep for his orange camp. You pretty much expect that. That's just how things go, really. And of course, we can see Saturn, he's just going to be building this base, essentially just because there's a lot of options here, but essentially you want to have some buildings on this side of the tree, some buildings on this side of the tree line, and you can always uproot your Ancient of War and bring it over here, kind of place it in the middle somewhere, and that kind of gives you a nice ability to block off your base if you need to. Now, versus undead, you don't always need to do that, but sometimes you will want that. Of course, over here we can actually go ahead and see there is a scout wisp out right side of Cechi's base, and will that wisp go down? No, he's going to get himself into a very nice location. There are trees like this all across pretty much every map, which allow melee units to not be able to attack them. As you can see, the rocks are going to be able to provide that physical blocking. And of course, if we look at this, we can actually look and see what kind of build Cechi is doing. He's going to be going ahead with a dual ziggurat build, or placing down a second ziggurat before he attacks, which means obviously he's going to go for many ghouls. Generally, at this point, you'll see them going up to 24 food before attacking. Over here, we can see that Cechi already gone ahead and picked up Unholy Aura for his skill points for the Death Knight, knowing that some mana burns are most likely coming. Of course, we're going to see him summoning some Skeleton Warriors. There's a Wisp right here that could actually go ahead and detonate on these warriors. Actually going to use that Wisp to block the Skeleton Warriors, trying to let that archer get away over to a delicate Moonwell. I'm not sure why I called the Moonwell delicate, the archer, so it's delicate, and try to keep that archer alive from all of this damage. Now, will that have been in vain? Not quite. It looks like that archer will not go down, but it will take quite a bit of additional damage right there as it quit being microed. Now, of course, we can come back and look and see, has Cechi begun to tech? Yes, he has, and I'm pretty sure I'm murdering his name, Cechi. I practiced the crap out of it on the live stream on Saturday for Zotac, and if you missed that, by the way, we're hopefully going to have those started up every week now. Again, I'm hoping, I bought this new computer, very expensive, mainly for streaming and stuff in HD, so it would be a big waste if we're not streaming, and it should maybe even some more streams on the side, and I'm actually looking into that. But for now, it's get back to the game. Saturn with his Demon Hunter now, he's at the shop, very close to the shop, and as you can see, it's about to be 1900, which means he can buy boots here in just a second for 250 gold. And will he do that? Most likely, I would assume so. There it is. And of course, we're going to see another mana burn onto Cechi's Death Knight, as the Demon Hunter now is backing off. Now, the Demon Hunter's point at this point, or goal at this point, is pretty much to say, I see that you have an army, and there's only two things you could possibly want to do, and that's either creep or attack me. And if my Demon Hunter's here, my Demon Hunter's level 2, you're level 1, I want to stop you from creeping, and if you're trying to attack me, I want to delay your attack as long as possible. Now, also, since Cechi did go ahead and sell his TP at the start of the game, he is going to pick up a Staff of Teleportation from the shop as well. It's just nice to have that item. It's definitely an optional item, but you can do some fun stuff with it. Now, over here we can see that there are going to be two of Saturn's archers shadow melted right up by this mercenary camp. We might see him tanking with the Demon Hunter and going ahead, and will he go for this kill on the Red Drake? Yes, he will just focus down with the archers, and of course he's also going to pick up a Forest Troll Berserker, which will allow him to do a little bit of additional damage and take that Red Drake down much faster. Also going to pick up the Forest Troll Shadow Priest to actually regenerate some of the life that he's losing for this. And of course, I think you actually might want to have that. It's just very nice to have. It does provide you a heal. However, it is slightly vulnerable to die to a Death Knight's nukes, but it does soak up some nuking from the Death Knight, which is a bit of mana, and that's actually pretty nice as well. Over here we can see a Hunter's Hall is going down for Saturn, and we can see that he's about to hit tier 2. He's probably going to pick up a Panda. That's your general goal, and actually going to go ahead and TP out of this position because of a illusion. Now that's a little bit unfortunate for him. I think that might have been a little bit of a I'm not sure if that was intentional. Well, of course it was intentional, but I mean, I'm not entirely sure if that was him, if he would have done that if he knew it was an illusion. Maybe he would have, because he knew the undead army was very close, most likely at that point. But again, he probably could have got out of there without the TP. But who knows? Either way, it's not a big deal. He did TP. And he's just going ahead, and he does have level 3 now on this Demon Hunter. Yes, the Panda has been picked up as the second hero. Will it run by the shop and pick up any items? No, it's just going to run right past it. Of course, the Ancient of War didn't actually come up here. You don't always have to bring that up. We actually see a one lore being built right here, right beside the Tree of Life. Is there another one going down anywhere on the map? I don't see it, but he is going to go ahead and creep out this orange camp, this gold mine, with this Ancient of War for his panda, trying to power creep that panda up if he can. Of course, we're going to see some skeletons coming in from CZE just to get some scouting information, as well as this illusion. And of course, there is the second Ancient of Lore for Saturn. Now, since he's tier 2, the only thing he can really make with those are going to be dryads. He could make some bears, but the most that they would be able to do is get up to rejuvenation tech. So at some point, he's probably going to want to go ahead and tech to tier 3 as well. CZE down here is teching to tier 3 himself. Does have a Lich coming out as his second hero, and of course that Slaughterhouse is about to finish. We can see that Death Knight, still no TP, doesn't really need to worry about that as much. He's just going to come over here and try to get some experience jacking off on to Saturn's army here. He wants to go ahead and do some damage. Of course, we're going to see one of those wisps that was repairing the Ancient of War. You're going to be sacrificed to go ahead and take down those skeletons, providing about 12 XP to both the Demon Hunter and the Panda, roughly. That might even be an exact number, I'm not sure. But anyway, level 3 going to be picked up by the Death Knight. However, the Death Knight pretty low on life right now, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful here. But he does have Fiends coming out as well as a Lich, as you can see, and now he's going to try to run back those really low HP ghouls. He doesn't really want to lose any units here. Of course, we're going to see a Nova trying to take down these archers, pick up some experience. We'll be able to do so, and of course, we're going to see another mana burn on that Lich as well. There's a lot of very low HP ghouls here, and there's a very fast Demon Hunter moving across the map with that boost of speed. He is trying to go ahead and take some of these units down, but he's going to focus on the Lich instead. The Panda trying to get the Breath of Fire to hit this ghoul as well. Barely not going to hit it, and now you're just going to see him blocking happening with the Death Knight, and this the Demon Hunter really just being very painful at this point. We might see the Fiend begin to start blocking here in just a second. Although here comes Saturn with a Wisp. Going to go ahead and try to get a kill on that Demon Hunter, or on the Death Knight, by blocking with that Wisp. Not quite going to happen. Of course, we're going to see that Death Knight picking up a potion of healing. Probably won't use that just yet if he doesn't need to, because he can go ahead and get this statue out here in just a second and heal up just fine with that. Of course, we're going to see these Nubian towers as well as the Black Citadel doing a little bit of slowing on those units, the two heroes right there for the Night Elf player Saturn, as he retreats out of the base. Of course, now we're going to see that tier 3 tech has been researched for CZE. He's going to go ahead and probably pick up an Orb of Corruption on that Lich any moment now. It actually looks like he's going to go for Frenzy first. Maybe he'll even start getting the Destroyer form upgrade. I don't know, but anyway, we can see the tech for tier 3 is coming for Saturn, and here come those bear upgrades are the ones very important. Getting those bears out a little bit early is fine, because that will actually allow them to have some mana regeneration going into tier 3, and that's always nice if if you have that. Of course, we're going to see it looks like CZE going ahead and getting a creep jack off on Saturn. Saturn going to be forced to back off. Of course, he does have a pendant of energy on that Pandarian Brewmaster, bringing that Pandar up to 390 mana. Going to go ahead and be very efficient with his creeping, using one Dryad as he moves his whole army back here just to get that one single attack off to pull the creep camp out. Really important for two reasons. One, not only do you want to have it pulled, you always want to pull out your creep camp, almost always when you're creeping, especially in such a risky area, because you knew there was an undead player right here for at least just a couple seconds ago as you moved across the map. But you don't want to just like stop your creeping. Creeping is a race, really, because who's going to creep the fastest can pretty much determine games. Who gets the most experience, who gets the highest experience levels, who gets the best items on the map. But on top of that, you got to be a little bit careful, because you don't want to take too much damage, and that's part of where pulling comes in. If you do get creep jacked and you're right here, it's easier to retreat than if you're right here. Furthermore, if you get creep jacked and the creeps are right here, it's much easier to back off and then disengage the creeps and actually engage your opponent. And there's a couple other really good benefits to pulling your creeps out as well, but not necessarily super relevant in the general case. So maybe if we see it that we can get to that. Anyway, so of course CZE going to go ahead and pick up a Naga as his third hero, and of course we can see the Death Knight right there picking up a Wand of the Wind down from that red camp. Of course, we're going to see Saturn trying to creep out the red camp as well. Did he get the item? It looks like he did. A Healing Wards, 3 charges of that. Pretty nice item. You can use those in your back of your army when you're fighting, for example, to get some really nice healing off. Now this is kind of a tier 3 timing attack, you could say, from CZE, but it looks like he's not really super interested in actually pushing the base. Probably not a bad idea. It is midday, but these Moonwells do actually have full mana right now, so it's not super ideal. At least, as you can see, there's at least 600 mana between those two Moonwells, 227 there, 225. I think we just came out of a Moonstone, so not really something you want to fight. Generally, when you push a Night Elf player's base, you want to do it if the Moonwells are empty. At least that's the ideal condition. And if there's lots of experience on the map that you can pick up as an undead player, especially a map like this that's fairly small, that you don't have to worry too much about the elf player doing some really mass expanding strategies on, then generally you can just be pretty safe to just start creeping yourself. Of course, we're going to see him selling. I'm not quite sure what item he sold there, but he did pick up a Scroll of Healing, which is going to give him a very nice item And of course, going to pick up a second one on the Lich as well, it looks like. And that's pretty useful, of course, because there is a Pandarian Brewmaster on the map. However, he is only level 2 right now, but he's getting pretty close to level 3, as you can see. And again, he has a load of mana and a clarity potion, which, you know, means that once he runs out of mana, he can very easily get back up to enough mana to do some more damage. Over we can see that Cechi getting ready or getting on his way, getting to the verge of banking right now, because pretty soon he's going to want to break upkeep. Probably once he gets to around 1,000 gold banked at 50 food, and then maybe another Ziggurat thrown down just for good measure. Of course, down here we're going to see the Pandarian Brewmaster has used his Staff of Teleportation down to this Ancient of War, and meanwhile the rest of the Night Elf army is kind of playing catch up. Of course, that panda has used that clarity potion. He was fairly low on mana, needs to get healed up, and as you can see, it's healing up pretty well. It will heal 100 mana over 30 seconds. So plus with your additional regeneration, he should be able to heal himself back up almost to full, as you can see. Now once it starts blinking, that means it only has 10 seconds left on the buff, which means a 20 way, so like 66% of the way through the clarity when that started happening. And then you can see he's up to 360 mana out of 390, which is a pretty good deal. Of course, he's gonna hit level 3 right there, and that's gonna bring him up to 420 mana. Oh, balls. There we go. That might have been a bit of an odd looking video glitch. I'm not really sure what that's going to do to the video. Anyway, my window accidentally got resized. It's like the 3rd time I've done that. Very frustrating. I need to come up with a better way of dealing with that. But anyway, so yeah, to get back into the game, we have Cechi sitting down here with creeping, still creeping, getting in the orange camps, gonna leave a Tome of Intelligence behind, which is not really ideal. It is 15 additional mana, so that's pretty good, especially versus mana burn. Of course, we can look at the hero levels. We can see level 3 on the Death Knight, level 3 on the Lich, and level 2 on the Naga, so all these units are getting up there, and a mana potion now gonna be picked up by the Death Knight. This might be level 4 for the Death Knight if he's actually gonna sit here and take some of this experience. I think he will. Maybe not. It's gonna be very close, but yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, as you can see, he's not gonna get 15 from that. Normally, I think you get about 13 or something. I'm not sure exactly, but with 3 heroes and being level 3 where you get that reduced experience, only going to get 5 XP from that. So that's not a huge amount. Of course, over here we can see PwNu.SaturN with level 3 on the Demon Hunter, getting pretty close to level 4 himself, and level 3 on that Pandarian Brewmaster. Of course, the Panda does actually have a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability at this point, and the Demon Hunter as well. So that's pretty good items, of course. Super good because, you know, versus a undead player, generally they will try to nuke the crap out of your heroes. That's just how it's going to be. Now we're going to see the Death Knight picking up a Scroll of Town Portal right there, and he's going to get a mana burn for his trouble, bringing him down to 200 mana, 230 mana out of 330 mana, and he's just going to be able to cancel the expansion that the Night Elf was trying to put there. As the Night Elf player says, I'll let you do that. I'm going to try to get into position and take this fight while you're fighting my Ancient of War. And here comes the battle. Here we're going to see Cechi saying, this is not a position I want to be fighting. I'm going to go ahead and TP out. You're going to see 1 goal going down, a 2nd goal almost going down from that, and the Night Elf player being pretty resilient. Of course, we're going to see that Tree of Life being rebuilt very close to the battle, but far enough away that, you know, you can actually go ahead and defend that if there was a battle that, you know, you wouldn't have seen the undead player TPing out and focusing it. So that's part of why he actually built it back there. Or at least I would assume. Of course, up here we can still see Cechi with this ward. He's had this sentry ward here for about 3 minutes now, and that's provided a decent amount of information. Mainly that there's probably not going to be an expansion coming this way, because usually you'd probably see the Wisp if it was running that way, unless it was being pulled from somewhere else on the map, which is also possible. So it's not like super good. And he's going to say, yeah, I'm going to make sure that there's not an expansion going up right there, scouting with the Skeleton Warrior, and maybe he'll even scout a little bit of the area around it, or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just be satisfied with that answer right there. Meanwhile, there is still this Wisp from the beginning of the game right outside of the undead player's base. If we look, actually, we can see exactly, well, it's like if we look, we can actually see exactly how much information he gives. Well, we can here now, yeah. It's not a whole lot, is it? Not really, but it could give you an indication if you see the undead player sitting here with his army. You might be, mainly, which would be possible because there's a shop right here. So if the undead player was sitting here, so just a tip, if you are an undead player on this map, you know, don't sit your army right here. Try to sit it back here behind your shop if you use a build like this, build placement like this. It's not a whole lot of information, but deny what you can. And again, it may not make a bit of difference to your game, but it might. You never know. And I think I just got an email, so if you heard a sound that you use like Outlook, that's what that was. Sorry. But anyway, so we're going to see a shade coming out for Cechi. He's going to be able to scout that a little bit. And here is the Tree of Life. Almost completed. This is about the time that Cechi wants to go ahead and break upkeep. And of course, Saturn, he's already broken upkeep, sitting at 61 out of 70 food, just really going straight into that upkeep. I don't think he banked very long, and that's what you do generally if you're trying to get an expansion up like this. And of course, yeah, here he is breaking upkeep right now, 56 out of 70 food. Getting that boneyard up as well, going ahead and getting 2 abominations and 2 fiends queued up. That's pretty good. So he's definitely going to be going, as well as, of course, getting that third, or the third past your 50 food ziggurat up, which brings him up to about 80 food once this completes. Exactly 80 food, actually. And of course, he's got plenty of gold. Go ahead and make a frostworm as well. And as you can see, that's going to be a lot of food because that's 3 more food queued up, 4 more food. So that's 7 more food. 7 more food queued up right there, which will bring him up to 73 food, and then he has the option of waiting around a long time for a second worm, or, you know, maybe just I'm not really sure what he's gonna do. He has 2 options. He can make, yeah, it looks like he's going with the fiend. If he's going with the fiend, he's probably gonna throw down a 3rd abomination, I would assume. Maybe even a meat wagon. Probably not a meat wagon, or maybe it's gonna be destroyers, because I see now 3 statues. So lots of options here. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it's going to be destroyers. And will he bring his ghouls? Almost certainly. There's really no reason not to when you're doing this kind of a big push. Now, if we look, we can actually see from SaturN's point of view, once again, are we going to see any of those units? No, because keep in mind, this is the important bit of information that SaturN's getting out of that base. Not going to happen. Even as Shechi runs out of the base, not going to give any information about the fact that he's doing so to SaturN from the scout. This would have to move out to actually go ahead and see that. Now, is it going to be a crucial bit of game knowledge? Probably not, but anyway, here we're going to see that frostworm on its way and tech upgrades at 2-0 for those ranged units for Cechi. Here comes this upgraded destroyers as well. No upgrades on those abominations, and 2-0 upgrades for SaturN's units as well. Of course, the bears and the giants share the same upgrades, and they're a couple of the roars going to go off. Now, those are going to be pretty much just provide a bit of food to the destroyers, and here comes the fight underway. Of course, we're going to see the bears going to get a little bit of focus fire, but it's going to get staffed out. Here comes, of course, the breath fire, or the haze fire, I guess, from the panda. Going to see him actually getting a rejuvenation cast on him, but he's going to immediately get cycloned, which will dispel the rejuvenation, and he will pop that potion of lesser invulnerability as soon as that's over. Going to give him a little bit more time, and now that it's over, he's going to have another haze fire in him. There it is, doing a fair amount of damage, and these bears actually trying to do a lot of wrecking damage to these fiends. Of course, there's that healing ward from SaturN that's been sitting there almost half of its life. Usually you don't see them live that long in a fight. Of course, that frostworm going to have to back out, and we're going to see, of course, that Death Knight being forced to pop a mana potion as he's been lost quite a bit of mana from the Demon Hunter. That Lich in a little bit of trouble, going to get a coil very, very close to going down, and of course, here comes a little bit more of that Ancient of War also in this fight, doing a pretty good job, and that frostworm still alive. Usually you don't see him last this long in a fight either. Panda going to get staffed out, and that this frostworm most likely going to get focused. Yes, it in. Here comes Panda kind of staff right back in, and the Druid Claw that was bad. Well, it was staffed out, as you can see, and it's probably going to go down. It will, because it was kept in the control group and not healed up or left in the base. Minor mistake from SaturN, but going to cost him, you know, about 200 gold or so. Roughly a little bit more than that. Of course, that Lich is taking a lot of damage. He's going to get out of there just nice and carefully. And we have an abomination also about to go down. Oh, the Lich going to die to a Panda's Breath of Fire. Of course, we're going to see a potion of healing being popped on that Naga Sea Witch, and the Demon Hunter just getting out of there, taking a fair amount of damage nonetheless. And this looks like SaturN's. Well, the question is, has SaturN won the fight? And it's a little bit difficult to say. I would say he's definitely won the fight. Yeah, and we're going to see that Demon Hunter almost about to go down, taking down the Naga with a mana burn. Going to get staffed out by the Panda, however. Now, SaturN has lost pretty much all of his army, but Cechi has lost his 2 secondary heroes. Not really the greatest trade, especially when SaturN just got an expansion up. As you can see, it's not fully up and running. It only has 3 wisps in there mining. It could have 5, but again, you know, losing your 2 heroes as an undead player means you really can't keep fighting. You need to have those guys. They provide so much damage. Whereas, of course, when your opponent has his heroes up and they're providing that major amount of damage for him, it makes you have to retreat. And of course, he has an expansion. So SaturN just saying, I'm going to chase your whole army, and the only reason you're not going to fight me is because I have a Demon Hunter. I'm just going to mana burn you, and there's not really a lot you can do. Of course, also now that you have a Frostworm, the tables will turn just a little bit, and I'm going to be able to have to staff that Demon Hunter out with my Panda. Of course, fairly low cooldown on these staffs allows him to do that pretty well. Finally, that Wisp will go down after being alive for about 20 minutes in the game. Didn't quite make it to 20. Here we can see Cechi going ahead and regrouping, trying to build up his, his heroes again. Now, Cechi did buy himself some time for taking out that expansion because he won the fight in terms, I think, of resource count pretty well. I'm not sure exactly, but it looked pretty well. As you can see, still has a pretty big army outside after that fight. Not going to make a second Frostworm, I don't think. You really probably don't want to. And the question is, will he go ahead and spend this money on units, or will he spend that on items? Or maybe even on his Naga if he decides to tavern it back. SaturN, of course, still sitting on just a 3 wisp right here, so not a huge deal. Of course, everyone can see he's got this scout with the whisper right there just to see, is there going to be anything going on there? The answer is not really. Maybe in the future, but of course we can see Saturn now level 5 Demon Hunter with a potion or scroll of healing and a potion of healing on that Demon Hunter, level 4 on the Panda, and 2-0 upgrades still. Let's look and see, where is his thingy? Yep, okay, his Hunter Saw, he's not going to go ahead and get any more upgrades just yet. And are we going to see any more additional upgrades for Cechi? I don't think so. Yeah, just 2-0 of them. Of course, here comes the Lich out. Lich has a potion of lesser invulnerability. I wonder if he had that when he died. I'm guessing he did then. But what happened was the Breath of Fire happened really at the max range it could have happened, or very, very close to it. And he probably just didn't have time to react. He probably wasn't expecting it to be close enough. Of course, Naga coming out. Now, there is actually going to be a second Frostworm on its way. We're going to see the Crypt now being unsummoned. Get a little bit of additional gold as Cechi's about to run out of his gold mine. And as that happens, this gold mine is going to become much, much more important. And of course, you can see that's already the case. Saturn's already run out of his, and he's already sending a couple of wisps down there to go ahead and finally fill out this gold mine. Of course, he is sitting at, Saturn's sitting at 65 food, and Cechi's actually sitting at 64 as well. So like I said, Cechi, with that kind of an economic lead from the fight, you know, losing his heroes kind of made him give up map control. But with that economic lead, he was able to go ahead, despite being behind with in terms of like expansion count, he was able to actually go ahead and remake an army that's pretty good once again, and has a little bit higher hero levels for his trouble. Of course, his opponent does as well. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there, but high-level undead heroes can actually turn a battle against a Night Elf player pretty quickly and pretty easily. Of course, you can see Cechi sitting after the shop. Would like to buy an item. I'm not sure what item he would like to get. Of course, you're going to see no undead units have been left at the base. Just going to see that Naga is going to come in eventually. Even the Acolytes are being brought in. You can use those for dark rituals or death packs or something. Of course, we're going to see that Panda taking the immediate brunt of the focus fire. He only has a potion of healing. Going to have him getting staffed out. He will go ahead and use the Moonwells and staff teleportation back in. Right on top of this bear, we're going to see one bear going down. A second bear on its way down as well died. And of course, that is going to be one Frostworm taking a fair amount of damage. It's going to get coiled. Trying to keep the Death Knight in the back for a little bit, but he's down to no mana. He does have a potion of mana. Actually, he's going to go ahead and pop that right after getting mana burned for 8. And we can see these Dryads trying to take out that other Frostworm very desperately. Not going to quite happen. And the Demon Hunter and the Death Knight also going to both pop the potion of lesser invulnerability at the same time. Panda going to go ahead and be forced to pop that potion of healing, taking a lot of damage. He is slowed by 2 Frostworms. He is about to go down. Oh, he's going to get staffed out. Meanwhile, the Lich is going to go down one more time. There's a lot of Dryads right here, which are going to be very impossible for Cechi to kill. And indeed, he's going to go ahead and GG. Well played it. Just too many Dryads, which are magic immune, and if he had his Lich still alive, if he hadn't lost the Lich, he might have been able to win that game, because he did have a pretty good army. It just wasn't the kind of army that kills Dryads. You need to use your heroes for that. And with your Death Knight, the Naga, and the Lich with the Orb of Corruption on one of them, you can actually, you know, force a pretty large army of Dryads away. But again, you have to have at least 2 of those heroes, and one of them has to be the Lich, or at least the hero with your Orb of Corruption. That's very important for it. So there you go. That was the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That was for SAWL, which is the Still Alive Warcraft League, of which I think I'm actually officially a caster for that league, and I've not really done a whole lot of casting of it. So this is one of those SAWL games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.